Looking for clarity and confidence when it comes to decision making for your business? You've come to the right place. You're now listening to the Atomic Business Coaching Podcast.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Tom.
And together we are Atomic Business Coaching,
where our stories are your solutions.
What's up, Tommy?
What's up, Adam? How are you today?
A little tough, man. It's a Monday, so I had a long weekend, and this Monday my two children happen to be home from school as well for Rosh Hashanah.
Yep.
So,
getting into that week with 2 days off is never an easy thing when the kids are off for 2 days, that's for sure.
No, I mean, and look, this is something that almost every single business owner has to deal with one way, shape, or form if they have kids, right?
Absolutely.
It's not easy to run a business. It's not easy to run a family. And then when things change that are outside of your control, how do you really deal with stuff like that, right?
Right, absolutely. I mean, every day is we're constantly going. We're constantly going, and it's hard to hit even that pause button sometimes. But that's what we see with a lot of people that run their own business, though. They don't know how to hit that pause button, and then they wind up in this mist of chaos, right? And that's where we really talk about, getting people to set better boundaries, to set better expectations for everybody involved.
You're good with the boundaries, you have this pause button. You're good with the boundaries. So why don't you explain? What do you mean by hit the pause button and boundaries? What does that really mean?
Well, boundaries are really, they're supposed to protect us and keep us from overextending ourselves, keep us really focused on what are the priorities of our life. And I think you and I, when I talk about boundaries, you talk about something different. And it's really, for me, it's really more about what are the expectations, what do we need to set as expectations? And, as we integrate our lives, and pull our business into our lives and pull our family into our business and pull ourselves into our life and business, you've got to have a good sense of what are the expectations really that you need to create for yourself and for other people.
Right. And that's kind of, for me, I didn't know this was coming up. I don't pay attention to the kids' school calendar. My wife is very, very good at making sure everything's taken care of. It's all done. It's plugged in the calendar. But I have 5 calendars, and I try to make them all talk to each other, but that gets too cluttered. And it's so I'm talking about, we were at dinner the other day, and my daughter, who's 6, is oh, I have to go back to school tomorrow. And my wife's no, you don't. And I quickly look over her what?
Hello, what do you mean? Yeah. It's Monday.
I know, which also reminded me to reach out to all my Jewish friends and clients to wish them a happy Rosh Hashanah. Mm-hmm. I did a little funny thing where I had an Apple phone with honey dripping on it. I had a picture of an Apple phone with honey dripping on it. And I used one of my other business logos in there. And two of the guys what? I'm an apple dipped in honey, because that's what you do for the Jewish New Year.
Right.
So, but I didn't know this was happening. And I'm oh my gosh, I don't pay attention. I'm Catholic, so I don't pay attention to that. And it's,
right.
Okay, I guess we're going to deal with this. So the boundary was kind of pushed on me, or pushed away from me. And I had a lot of expectations that were set for today.
Right.
And then tomorrow. And it's I'm going away on a vacation next week. And I have so much to do in the next 4 days that it's oh no, I just lost 2 of those 4 days.
Right. It adds those, but those are the things where you really need to learn how to adjust quickly, right? And that's where, if you're good at setting priorities, it really is something that comes pretty naturally to be able to adjust those couple of days, right? Because you're going to make the time now for the kids, and you're great at doing that. You make time for your kids, and we talk about scheduling things in and making your schedule for the week and the importance of that. And we've talked about that too. And, last night you had one of those moments where, I got to figure out how I'm fitting all this in and then be able to go on vacation, because, that is a boundary, right? Vacation is happening next week. You have a finite date that you're going away, and this is what has to happen in order for you to get there. And you're going to have to create some new expectations for this week that maybe you didn't previously think you would have to create.
Yeah, exactly. Even this evening, I'm squeezing something in at 8:30 this evening tonight now, just because I could have normally done it earlier in the afternoon, but I was with my kids. Actually, it's at 9 o'clock. It's after something you and I are doing.
Right.
So I had another one of my businesses at 1 o'clock. I had something. I was with my children, and I asked them. I said, "Hey, can we move it? Can we switch?" They're like, "Yeah, no problem." But it's like now I try to get ready. I have like what's called a power down hour at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
And this power down hour is like try to stop looking at any devices or emails or like eliminate electronics and try to like relax. I drink water. You know, if I'm going to meditate or listen to something consistent, whatever it is, but 10 o'clock I try to do that. You know, and then by 11 o'clock I go to bed.
Your power down hour is a great example of a boundary, man. It's awesome. That's awesome. I love that.
Well, and the only way I adhere, and you know, we have a lot of clients, right, Tom? And and I give them a lot of, I mean, just what we're doing here. You know, our stories are their solutions.
Yep.
It's I tell them the stories about myself, or I tell them the stories about other clients, or something I read that's actually been implemented. Because you know, a story is great because this, you know, stories can be make believe, or stories can be real.
Right.
Right. What we're trying to do with these stories is generate action or give example of cause. Right. So what I have told many of my clients is they think I'm super disciplined. They're like, Adam, how do you do all the things that you do, help with Congress, run a financial planning firm, do all this networking, have atomic business coaching, all these things. Like, how do you do it? You're so disciplined. I'm like, I'm actually one of the least disciplined people that I know. So I use different tactics or techniques, and I have to remind myself every single night. I have an alarm that's set and it says 10 o'clock, power down hour. And it like shouts at me, you know, it's like, you have to do this now. My son laughs at me, but that's what I need to do. Right. So none of us are perfect.
No, but and listen, you are disciplined. I don't know what you're talking about. You are one of the most disciplined people I know, or at least that's how you come across, and you're faking it really well. But you know, it's so important, and those boundaries are so important to have. You know, you're talking about such critical things, and like your son laughs but understands an expectation, right? That creates that expectation that this is dad's power down hour, and I'm going to give him that space for that. And we set that expectations all day long when we block out time for our clients, and they know when work time is and when it's not work time. And like with me, you always mock it a bit, but my boundaries, baseball, and still working a couple of hours a week for another company, they're all different things that I've put in my life to create the space for what I need to do. But I make all the time for my clients too. Right. Clients can access me any time of the day. I always tell clients it's 18/7, right? And that's what something is, that's really important. And some people go, how do you have boundaries when you're telling people that? Because in those moments when people reach out, you have to set time and say, okay, I can't speak right this moment. You've gotten your access, but now let's talk about a time that works for both of us so that we can help you in what you need to do, so that clients don't get stuck as they are trying to work on things and move forward. And, if you have a way of disciplining yourself to create an expectation and set a boundary spontaneously, I think it's really a good skill to have and to develop. And a lot of people struggle with that. A lot of people can't adapt as quickly.
Yeah. And, that's really why we created the company Atomic Business Coaching. And, we're not here to sell you anything or do anything. We're talking about that. But one of the major things that we do is help people who are transitioning in business, right? They went from a corporate job and they're going to start their business, or they had a hobby and they're like, wow, I can generate revenue from this. Or they own a business and they're like, I have to make a major shift. Well, when you're going through a major transition like that, it's very, very difficult to keep the same boundaries you had previously. So especially with going from corporate into owning your own business. And, we just had a client that Tom and I worked with, and I did an interview with them, and I said, what was the hardest thing about building your business? And he said to change his mindset from going from the corporate mindset of employee to the business owner mindset of owner. And one of those things is the boundaries. A lot of corporations are 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. You get your weekends. They still all push you to work and do extra stuff, but there's some boundaries built in. Being a business owner, there are no boundaries whatsoever. Now, the boundaries are in your control all the time, but they might not be consistent. and stable. It might not be 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. So this week, it may be I have to work every single night until 9 p.m. But then next week, it might be I have to get up every morning at 4 a.m. and stop working at 4 p.m. It can be different every single week, but you, as a business owner, get to put those boundaries down. So you're always making that choice. Whether it's I'm going to be super corporate and then wonder why you don't have any clients or customers or you can't get anything done, or the other route, like I'm going to work crazy and do everything, do anytime I have to, and wonder why you don't have any consistency.
Right. And I think it's a really good point. You know, when you and I first started talking about how business owners need to construct their schedule and planning their week, you said something that was so critical that we've really incorporated into a lot of our time in helping our clients is how do you set the right schedule? And it really comes down to three things, right? You have to make sure you make the time for yourself. That's number one, right? Because we all need that self-care time. And that time has to be scheduled in your week, right? You need to know Tuesday morning you're getting up at 5:30 and you're jumping on the Peloton, or you're going for a run, or you're running to the gym, or whatever it may be. And then, you know that Thursday you're doing the same thing, and on Monday and Wednesday you're doing something else in that time, and you're finding that half hour or hour for yourself. But scheduling your time first is so critical, and so many people forget to do that. And I think the other thing we talk about is scheduling time for your family next, right? And then scheduling all the time for the work around it, right? So as business owners, we don't have to work that 9 to 5. We don't have to work an 8 to 4. We have to work when we need to do the work, as long as those other two times have been satisfied and we've helped, our family, or have helped ourselves to taking care of ourselves. And I think that's really important, is to have those scheduled disciplines and making the time to do something that really is important to be integrative as a flow and a harmony in life, rather than just, trying to fake it willy-nilly and just putting things wherever you want.
No, it makes perfect sense. But one of the keys that comes into that is you have to be very flexible, right? And you have to, if things don't go the way you want them to go, right, it's going to happen all the time. You have to be flexible and adaptable. And I always say to my clients, like, be a giraffe. Have you ever heard the giraffe story, Tom?
No, what's the giraffe story?
So I say, be a giraffe. And I said,
okay,
what happened is, what's the one characteristic about a giraffe that you could think of?
Big neck, long neck.
Why? Why do they have a long neck?
Because they need to reach the trees to eat.
Right. So at a certain point in time, they look just like horses, right? They had long, little short necks, and they look like that. Well, survival of the fittest, they had to start adapting to, there were other predators in the Serengeti and everywhere else that were eating the low-hanging fruit, so to speak.
Right.
So the giraffes don't have any other mechanism of defense, and the small ones died because everything that was hanging low, the low-hanging fruit, was eaten by all the other predators and anybody else, and that could actually do that. So they slowly adapted over time, obviously, right? So the necks got bigger. The ones that had longer necks survived, and so on and so forth and so forth. So you have to adapt to your environment as a business owner. So you have to be a giraffe, right? It's constantly, and I do this every Sunday. I've been in business 23 years. I still have to do it on a weekly basis, Tom. And it's because I'm always going into new ventures, right? I have certain things that are scheduled out and it's specific, and every single this day it happens. Every other Monday I have a mastermind group I do. I have things on Saturday mornings that I do. It's like I have these. But now all the new stuff, I got to fill in these blanks.
Right.
But the first thing I do, I look at that calendar, and whatever's empty, can I put my family, can I put myself, can I put that there? And then I can schedule everything else around it. So I think that's the point you're getting to.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is a major change for people who are transitioning from a corporate space to their own business space, right? They're used to taking direction and taking the projects of the company that they're working on, and they have that direction, and it's easier for them to schedule their 9 to 5 with that information. When you're out on your own, you have to dictate that structure, right? You have to dictate what you're going to do, when and where, and what projects you're working on and what ventures you're embarking on. And I think that's one of the biggest things, that when you've worked in the corporate space for so long, that stuff is already pre-structured for you. And the last thing that it does is makes time for you and makes time for your family. So now you're trying to meld all of that together. And that's a really difficult transition. And I know it myself. I mean, I've been in healthcare for 20 years before I really went into being a business owner. So I work still, my mind still works in that healthcare space a bit, where things are slower and things take time. And when you're a business owner, you don't have time for slow and for taking time. You've got to keep things moving. You got to keep that train going. But I think these are what we're identifying is like major transition points, and schedule is a major transition point for people who are going into their own business and doing their own thing.
Yep, absolutely. But it's all about action. You just you have to take the action to do it. You're in control of whatever you want to do, and you can't point the finger and you can't say, oh, well, this is how it used to be. Well, guess what? You get to decide how it is now. But you got to decide. Right. If you just let it happen, to you, then your business is going to run you. You're not going to run your business.
Correct.
There was a great quote that I'll find it in a minute. I'll look it up. But there was a great quote I heard recently. It was something like, let me just look. I'm going to look at it really quick because I know I have it here real quick. Here, hold on. I keep amazing notes inside of my phone. It says, our work works on us more than we work on it.
Our work works on us more than we work on it.
Correct.
Boy, that is so true, man.
Yeah. And it says hard work is the actual goal.
Oh.
Yeah, this is Alex Hormozy. He's great guy when he talk about sales, young man.
Yeah.
Really, really did it. But that's the thing, is you're in control of this time. If you decided I'm going to be a business owner, right? There is an end goal. The goal really should be the hard work, as Alex says. As I try to implement in my own businesses, and Tom and I try to tell our clients, it's about the consistency and getting through that stuff.
Yep.
But you have to understand it's your time, right? And when I personally got over that and I understood, like, wow, I can dictate whatever I want to do this week. If I feel like taking a nap, I can take a nap.
Right.
Nobody's going to yell at me.
Right.
Nobody's going to get mad at me. I could just go ahead and do that. And it took me a very long time to understand, like, wow, I really can do whatever I want. I went to the gym today at 3:30.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had other stuff I could have been doing, but I went to the gym at 3:30 so I could be done and showered and ready and back here to be with Tom at 5.
Right.
So it's like, okay, if you understand your time is yours to do what you want with, well, you could set your expectations, your boundaries to align with those goals and values. Make sense?
Absolutely. It makes a ton of sense. And I think you're bringing up a good point, too, about no one's going to yell at you if you do something like that. No one's going to bark at you. And I think one of the things that people have difficulty, too, is when you're working in your own business, it's like anytime you do take time for yourself, some people feel bad that they're taking the time for themselves because they feel like they should be working on their business, right? Or doing something for the business. And I think that's what another major boundary that people struggle with, that it's okay to take time for you. It's okay because you are your business, right? And a lot of our clients are solopreneurs, and it's only really them or them and their partner, and and they don't take the time for themselves. And what happens? They burn themselves out, and then they need us because we can help them redirect and get to where they were once on track. But at the end of the day, it's because you're neglecting the most important part of your business, and that's you. You can't do your business without you. Yep. So if you're not taking the time for you, you're just setting yourself up for extra stress and extra work that you really don't need to be doing.
Yeah, and listen, don't get this twisted. Like, the majority of your work needs to be on your business.
Correct.
Like, that's what it needs to be. You need to be crushing it. You need to be doing everything you possibly can to advance what your mission and your vision statement are. You need to hire the right people, delegate the right tasks, go in every day and feel excited about what you're about to do. And that's the point. If you don't take care of yourself, none of that will be able to happen. If you don't schedule time for your family, you will lose them. So then what will be the point of having a successful business? What will be the point of all this hard work?
Right.
So the idea is that you have to be disciplined about putting these boundaries in so you can do everything you want to do.
Right. That's what it's about. It's about
pal.
you getting to do what you want to do to be happy, to be fulfilled, and of course to be successful. However you define that.
All right, pal. I think that's good for this week. Hopefully we'll catch up soon, and we'll see you all later.
Take it easy.